ACAB chat.
My name is David Sloan. I'm a criminal defense attorney in Fort Worth, Texas.
This is an ad for this guy, I guess. But
defending highway drug interdiction cases throughout the state. I'm here today to tell you a story about a former state trooper that has not yet been told. And I think it needs to be told.
I think what needs to be done is your volume needs to be turned up because you are a little quiet, my friend.
Wichita County DPS trooper pleads guilty to one charge and is placed on 2 years probation in a drug evidence tampering case. 47-year-old Chad Hardin of Iowa Park accepted a plea deal to tampering with or fabricating evidence with intent to impair an investigation.
Chad Hardin was a trooper stationed in Wichita County, which is Wichita Falls, and he was just wreaking havoc on the public. Wichita County, or Wichita Falls in Texas, is a major crossroads with 287 running right through it. And 287 is the main highway for people traveling from Colorado and actually even California, coming down off of I-40 to the southeast United States.
You guys know how you really know highways and stuff. Very interesting stuff, David. Can you get to the good part, though?
Mr. Hardin was stopping traffic left and right. He's lauded himself as being the #1 interdiction trooper in the state of Texas. And I believe that's accurate. His arrest rate was much, much higher than those of his similarly situated peers. I actually had my own background investigation done on him and everything. And let me tell you why. When people get arrested for having small amounts of marijuana or THC or something like that, generally speaking, if the officer arrested him fair and square, he didn't lie about the reason for stopping him, or he didn't lie about the reason, his justification to search him, treated him with the respect that they were due, there's no hard feelings.
All right, we all be careful. Have a safe trip.
Thank you, sir, for
yes, sir.
Let me make it.
Okay.
Being understanding.
Yes, sir.
There's a closure with my client as we're walking out of the courthouse. They're not mad at that officer. He was just doing his job. But not with this guy. Never with this guy. People loathed him as they were walking out. And often, said that he fabricated the reasons for stopping him.
Lawyers are the real heroes of law. Lawers
Fabricated the reasons. Said he smelled something that he didn't smell. I believed him. I didn't hear this elsewhere in the state. Other counties I was coming from, people would come walk out of the courthouse. They wouldn't say that trooper lied on me. But I got that a lot with this guy. He stopped a lot of people, and for very, very small amounts of cannabis or THC, really, really wreaked havoc on them. In particular, the patients, the people that were traveling with medications that were legal in their state, or it was legal in the state where they had bought it or whatever, and they were just passing through Texas. They'd leave out of here with a felony on their record. So anyway, I received
Texas, for the record,
notice from the state indicating that it's called a Brady notice, and that's where the state has to disclose to you if there's something wrong with their case. And I had a number of cases in Wichita County involving this trooper, and they just basically said that if you were to ask Texas Ranger Weaver about the honesty of this trooper, he would say that he doesn't believe he's honest.
Not Texans. The government of Texas? Yeah, fuck that shit. They can eat a bag of dicks.
And that was all this Brady notice said. I thought there's going to be a lot more to this. This doesn't sound to me like he told...
Texas cities suck too, for the record. Like the planning of them and the greed of them and the sprawl of them. They disgust me. Wholly.
This Texas Ranger a fib while they were having coffee. There's certainly a lot more going on with this case. The cases I had involving this trooper were all felonies, and first the state offered to reduce them to misdemeanors when I started questioning this Brady notice I got, and I wasn't accepting that. And then they dismissed the cases outright. And then now certainly I was very curious what happened. Well, lo and behold, a few weeks later, this trooper had resigned, and he had been accused of mishandling evidence tampering with it. But he was also charged with possession of a controlled substance.
Interesting.
So that certainly piqued.
You think he might have been pulling people over and robbing them of their weed and then smoking the shit out of it? Because that's sure what I think. That deserves a sparker, chat.
My interest is to just exactly how he'd been mishandling it. Now, the media just blew right past it.
Hardin was involved in scores of traffic stops and drug cases in past years, most along US 287. Hundreds, if not thousands, of pounds of marijuana and other drugs were seized, along with, in many cases, thousands of dollars in cash.
Of course.
Apparently, they just weren't asking the right questions. And
cash? By the way, cops steal people's money all the time. If you've ever been arrested, you probably experienced this. They take your fucking cash if you have any on you. I wouldn't hold cash on me for that reason.
Immediately, I started asking a lot more questions.
You're way more likely to be robbed
Department of Public
by a
Safety
cop
with a
than you are
public
your
information
fellow
request,
person.
And they were opposing me at every turn. The main one that kind of left me dead in the water was that it was pending a prosecution. This happened all back in 2019, right before COVID hit, so there's been a lot of delays anyway. But on a weekly basis, I started checking the mainframe up in Wichita County to see.
He probably used it to frame people too, because if you toss the weed in there, it's not like you lose it.
When the criminal cases against this trooper were disposed of. And as soon as they were, then I was right back on their doorstep. Highway patrol cars in Texas, they have cameras hidden in the headliners of the patrol car. And that's one of the things that an interdiction trooper will do is they'll stop you and they'll just be just as nice as they can possibly be. Oh, you were speeding, but I'm going to give you a warning. You know, come on back here and have a seat in my car. You know, let's be friends. You know, back there and getting you back there so that they can have an on-camera interview with you. They're getting ready to interrogate you on the side of the road on camera.
You ever been arrested for anything? What have you been arrested for? Possession of marijuana.
Part of my request was
I got arrested with a $20 bill and left jail with a check for $2.11. Wow.
All videotapes from this trooper's car. I wanted not only the one pointed through the windshield, but I wanted the videos of what's going on inside the car. And lo and behold, I got the answer that I was suspected. You know, I've had a lot of clients over the years wonder when the police took their marijuana if they weren't using a little bit of it themselves. And I can say that there have been times where I had a client that had just been to wherever it is they got what they got, and they knew that the weight or the measurements of what they had in their possession was exact. And when we get the lab report back, it's a little light.
Yeah, you don't say.
In terms of what the person...
Cops are criminals. Cops are criminals. Cops are the #1 criminal organization in the world. American police. #1.
And says they actually had when they got arrested.
They steal shit from citizens
every
every day.
Often, but it does happen. That seems to be a prevailing question that a lot of people that have had their marijuana taken from them by an officer.
This is why we need to abolish the police, guys. So the police union is organized crime? Yeah. Genuinely, yes. Yes.
If that's not what's going on.
It's so silly. Like, police are under the same... We talked about this earlier. Capitalism is the #1 threat to your survival every day. So you adapt to the situation to maintain your survival. Cops are under that same situation, but also have access to wanton violence and theft with impunity on the rest of us. Why wouldn't they why wouldn't they be corrupt? You've incentivized corruption in the way that you formed that group. From the foundation of it, they confiscate all the vices everybody wants and the money they have from that. and sex workers and like all the things that they get, you know, and they carry out all the violence and murder, and they harm the most people. They're part of the organization so that they can commit the crimes, guys. They're a gang. They're a government-funded mafia. So you have to abolish that. Now, when we say that, I don't think we should use the word abolish. I think we should use the word reform. Even though we mean abolish and then just start up from the ground. Okay? Because that's what we mean. Because we would have some kind of community protection services. Because sometimes people are violent, or sometimes people have, you know, issues, and sometimes people need stuff. Sometimes there's emergencies, and we just need people around. Absolutely, of course. That still exists. Emergency services can totally exist, but I think saying abolish the police gives the wrong impression of our idea, because you just think delete police from society and we'll never have any order ever. No. Abolish the police in the way that it exists here, but we reform it because we want to have a situation where people's survival needs are met to alleviate the need for law enforcement, but also have the enforcement, not even law enforcement. It'd be like emergency services. It's part of that. It's like if you're having a bad day and you got, I don't know, fucking medical issues, you got spousal issues, you got crimes of passion, you do have theft. That can still happen. You know, wants are still things. We're still just people. We're gonna have fucked up situations, so you need them. Speeding is gonna be a thing. You need people to maintain traffic and shit like that. There's absolutely reasons, but you can't incentivize the people in charge of keeping order. You can't incentivize them to do unethical activities towards people. So you can't you can't give them pressure to get certain numbers up because you're worried about funding. Your salary should be fixed. It shouldn't be able to go up and down then. It should be based on approval rating by your community, probably. You know what I mean? It should be I don't know how you want to do it, but like everyone just needs what they need. You don't need to commodify it. They just get stuff. You're not going to give them money to get needs. Anyway, you have to change it. It's all based on capital, and anytime that happens, you run the risk of unethical activities taking place so that people can get the most out of capitalism, because the most you can do out of capitalism is get rid of cost while maximizing, how much someone can pay you for it. So sometimes that means, taking a shortcut in safety, or, cutting the cocaine with flour, because of course you incentivize the behavior. Rotten Blue Menace, yeah, they're terrible.
And that's what was going on here. This trooper stopped a man on his way back from Colorado, allegedly stopped the man for speeding, ended up searching his car, took some vape pens from him.
No vape pen cartridges with THC? No?
Yeah.
I do, man.
And within 5 minutes of releasing him, the trooper reached over and got that vape pen out of the seat.
Yep.
And was nibbling on it to see what it tasted like. Went another 25 minutes down the road, pulled over on the shoulder of the road, and started hitting on it. The DA's office didn't tell us that.
I accidentally inhaled THC.
Accidentally.
Stupid as that sounds.
Accidentally. And he was driving around. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think smoking weed and driving around is nearly as bad as driving drunk. Drunk actually is pretty fucked up, because it really does fuck up your motor skills. But being too high, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't really want anybody doing it, but, you're going to from time to time. The Clinto pot defense? I don't know. Like if you were fucking blasted, it would be hard to drive high. But like, you shouldn't be hit. I never smoke while driving. I can't imagine smoking while driving. That just seems like, I know some people like to do that. I'd rather park and not and like that's where we're at. You know, I guess when I was in high school, we used to, because I lived out in the country, I guess that was the thing. We used to drive our car to like Taco Bell and hang out. Sometimes dudes would smoke. I never did, but and we'd hang out and Taco Bell for like 3 hours, and then we would drive away at the end because it was like after school or not after school, after work or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I just I think the big thing that smoking weed would do to you wouldn't be your motor skills. It would be, specifically if you're driving for a long period of time, I feel like you would zone out if you were too high and you just wouldn't pay attention enough. So definitely don't do it. It's not very safe. I can't imagine like driving on the highway and being high. It just doesn't seem. It seems like, first of all, a waste of the weed. Like, what a terrible high. And it just, I don't know. It seems dangerous. Anyway, that's why this guy sucks. He also looks like Colin Mockery from Whose Line Is It Anyway? You guys see it? He looks like a smoother Colin Mockery.
And I felt it fill up my lungs. I pushed it out as fast as I could. And there was smoke everywhere. I've never seen anything smoke so much.
Jesus,
fuck mean to inhale it.
Oh my God.
I smoked weed before Highway Patrol. I told them whenever I came in, I told them all about that. That's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing? God, these guys are so weird. Just smoke weed, bro. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if a cop smokes weed at all. I give a fuck if he's robbing people of it. What the fuck, man? It's just so weird. They have such a hang up about this shit. Y'all drink to death, literally. And like, oh, yeah, I had a drinking problem. But it's like masculinized. It's like, oh, but we drink, we drink beers, bro. Because we're fucking cops and we just got a hard job. And we get blasted together and then drive home. No, but, oh, God, I smoked a little fucking weed the other day. I'm so embarrassed. Bruh, you should be embarrassed that you're embarrassed, not be embarrassed.
I was wigged out.
Basically, got caught in his own trap. He videotaped on his own camera, tampering with evidence, as they called it. But what disturbs me is the Texas Rangers found 20 other cases where this trooper stopped somebody, took their contraband, their THC or their marijuana, and it never made it to the evidence box.
Of course.
He just said, I'm going to send this into the state lab for destruction, and it never made it. And what troubles me is the district attorney's office knows about those 20 other cases. I mean, it's on video, the trooper taking the contraband, and it never making it to the evidence box. That, and along with the video of what he's actually doing with this stuff, I don't understand why the trooper was charged with just one count of tampering with evidence and just one count of possession of a controlled substance. I could understand maybe not charging him with multiple counts of possession since they don't actually have the substance there to test. But they certainly got 20 counts of tampering, and that's a third-degree felony. Tampering with evidence is something the police often will charge somebody with here in Texas. If they pull them over and they're like, oh, the cops are pulling me over, and they throw something out the window, and the police go back and get it and find that.
I'm interested in how is ditching evidence not covered under the Fifth Amendment? Is that only under trial? I would expand it then. You can ditch evidence. Fuck that. Make them bitches prove it. Proven innocent. You better, fucking prove it then. You know what I mean? Okay, that's the evidence. Yeah, of course you were going to ditch it. Of course. Why add more fucking things to the sentence for these people? It's disgusting to me. They always do that shit. I'm always trying to get more. What's the fucking problem What's the fucking problem you're trying to solve? Please police this way. What is the problem we're solving? Drug use. Okay, why is drug use a problem? And then just go down, and it's capitalism is the answer. Why is drug use a problem? Capitalism. Also, it doesn't have to be a problem.
That it's marijuana or whatever. Frequently, they'll charge the driver with tampering with evidence.
The problem is the need for free labor in prisons. True!
Typically, the punishment for that is, usually about 4 years probation. Now, with Trooper Hardin, when he finally...
Although some states are banning slavery, even in cases that they're not allowing for-profit prisons. This has been happening around the country. It was literally on the ballot this last time around in Missouri, maybe? Kentucky banned slavery.
Finally went to court.
So they don't have for-profit prisons.
They dismissed the possession of a controlled substance outright.
Tennessee?
And
it was Tennessee, yeah.
They took a guilty plea for the evidence tampering, and they deferred any kind of adjudication on him, and the deferred adjudication probation period was for only 2 years. 2 years is, in a lot of counties, what a first offender, 2 years probation, is what in a lot of counties a first offender gets for simple possession of marijuana. Without this breach of public trust, at least my clients went out and bought it with their own hard-earned money. They didn't use a badge to take it away from somebody else.
Fucking true.
Basically, when you do a deferred adjudication, the judge says, okay, I've got enough evidence here to find you guilty, but I'm going to withhold that finding. And if you go on community supervision and you do everything you're supposed to do and don't do what you're not supposed to do, at the end of that term, I'll dismiss these charges against you. And at that time, the person who was on community supervision can have the record sealed from public view. So in this case, I was very concerned that this trooper would be back out on the road wearing a badge again. Certainly never with the Texas Department of Public Safety again, but there are some agencies that'll hire people they shouldn't. But part of the plea negotiations with this trooper was that he had to surrender his Texas Commission on Law Enforcement licensing. And
I can't tell. It's got to be. This isn't a long hair growing into his ear, is it? Is it like a stem for like a hearing aid or something? If it's a long hair, it's driving me crazy. And if it's just a hearing aid thing, it looks like it might be a hearing aid. If it's just a hearing aid thing, it doesn't bother me at all. But the thought of it being a hair is driving me nuts.
he signed a permanent surrender. So I think he's pretty much done.
I kind of want him just to tilt his
head
just a little bit more.
Good and bad people. You've got people that shouldn't be there, and you've got a lot of people that are there doing all the right things for all the right reasons. And I think that, again, the Department of Public Safety does a very good job screening their employees. Just occasionally a dud gets through, like this one. But
they do a very good job of screening their employees, huh? Look at this fucking dork. I don't have any more patience for him. I'm done with him. But the point is, ACAB every day. All day, every day. Big ACABs. If I was Donald Trump, it's like, please clap.